Mayor, Council, Budget Committee members, I'm Chief Richard Lewis, Springfield Police Department. Thanks for the opportunity to let me present today. I'm going to go through this fairly quickly. I've tried this a number of times and my time limit has been way overboard, so excuse me as I kind of move through this fairly quickly. This is a summary of our services. Most of you know what the police department does. Very proud to work for the citizens of Springfield. Very proud to be a member of this community. I think the service we provide is excellent. That's been, rewarded from the voters by a number of levies that have passed over the years. And again, just want to say that we're very proud to provide all of these services that are listed here. If you have specific questions on any of them, just please let me know. A little bit about the budget summary. You can see in the table there, the fiscal year 18, 19, 20, and 21 are all up there. So I'm not going to go into detail about that. Just a couple of highlights I want to hit on. The body camera program, we're going to talk extensively about that. So I'm going to explain a little bit more detail when I get to there. But right here, you can see about $150,000 for this upcoming fiscal year. And I'll talk more about that again in a few more minutes. We're asking for $100,000 to be taken down drug forfeiture funds used to purchase handgun sights and our FLIR, which are forward looking infrared devices. We've had these devices probably for a number of years, I think close to 10, and their useful life is starting to run out. We need to replace those. So as you remember, drug forfeiture money is assets and monies we seize from narcotics traffickers. So that way we don't have to spend general fund on some of these items. I want to talk about some of the accomplishments and changes we've had over the last year. We've done multiple hiring processes. We've hired 8 people. It takes a lot to put these processes on. We've actually done 13 processes, and unfortunately, we only got 8 out of that. But we're being very judicious on who we pick. We're getting some really high quality people. We're going to continue that effort and not going to lower our standards any bit. We're just going to keep plowing through this, and we're going to get the right people working here at SPD. The Get Fit, Stay Fit program is a program that is there to benefit for the health and welfare of our staff. It was an idea of a couple department members, and right now it's a pilot project we're doing. We're going to continue that pilot project, and so I'll explain more about that maybe later on, maybe next year when we bring it forward at that time. Looking at the sworn side of things, on the patrol side, some of the changes we've had, we've implemented a process to gather and report professional stops data. I think you've heard me talk about this. This is where the Oregon law requires all law enforcement agencies in the state of Oregon to keep track of all their probable cause stops or their self-initiated activity type stops. And that way, can make sure there's not a racial profiling issue. Very confident we don't have a racial profiling issue here in Springfield. I've looked at the early stats on this, and again, it just confirms my confidence. I'm talking about the 12-hour shift schedule here in a little bit, so I'm going to kind of skip over that for just a second. Community outreach programs, we had some great ideas coming up. One of the programs was a blast camp for younger kids. We're going to do that this summer. It's a 3-day event, chance for kids to get in touch with law enforcement and other members of the community. Unfortunately, with the COVID situation, several of our new ideas have been put on hold. So hopefully next year we'll be able to bring these forward and talk about it in great detail. 12-hour shift. If you remember last year we were doing a project regarding that. We've gone to the 12 hours. There's been some very positive aspects of it. As you can see by the charts right here, or the tables right here, that it has reduced the amount of overtime and comp time. It's reduced the travel time for priority 1 calls by having more officers on the street. I just want to point out one aspect there. If you look at the second line, your average patrol time, travel time, from the time that dispatch sends the call to the time the officers arrive, have dropped from 4 minutes and 4 seconds to 2 minutes and 40 seconds. That's a significant drop. And we're going to see if that trend continues. That's a big deal. When you call 911, you get immediate response. And so the rest of those you can kind of see. I do want to point out that I'm not going to say the 12s take credit for having a reduction in the number of injuries. And just so you know, I didn't do a good job explaining this. The first table there, the first line is the 2018-19. That's under the old staffing system, and the second one is under the 12-hour system. So you can take a look at it. If you have questions, please let me know. We're going to continue our emphasis on recruiting and hiring. That's a big deal. Again, we're going to plow through that. I want to implement a youth police academy. That's based upon the concept of our Citizens Police Academy. And the idea is to get high school youth, maybe as many as 15 to 20 each year, and put them through this academy, continue contact with them as the years go by, maybe bring them back once a year so that they have that all the time until they're 21 or graduate college. They've got a connection with Springfield PD. And I think that will increase our pool of possible applicants. Those particular applicants in that pool will have a real direct connection with the city of Springfield. They grew up here. They have a direct connection with the police department. So I think it'll be a very popular program. I know that a lot of the council wanted me to bring back the Explorer program, and that's a great program. I totally agree with that. The only problem I saw with that, we were only impacting maybe 5, 6, or 7 kids every 2 or 3 years versus the idea of impacting maybe 15 to 20 kids each year. So anyway, that's where we're going with that. Unfortunately, with the COVID situation, it got put on hold. We were working with the schools, and I think it's going to be really a valuable program. The body-worn camera system, I do want to talk a little bit about that. If you'll see right here in the first year, the estimated cost shows $336,000, and then earlier I talked about the $150,000. So what that means is, even if we went ahead with this program, we probably wouldn't be able to actually get it started until January of 2021. So basically halfway through the year, that's why the much less cost. I recognize that this program is expensive. It's an expense that hasn't been in the budget before. It's $270,000, $280,000 for each of the years continuing on. And I recognize that with the COVID situation, we really don't have a handle on what our city's overall budget is going to be. So we want to be very judicious with this. We will take direction, advice from the council and the budget committee about whether we should move forward on this or not. Talk about a couple of future considerations. As you can see, there's 5 of them on here. I'm just going to talk about the first 2, and you can read what the other ones are there, obviously. So the first one is identify some sustainable funding for our CAHOOTS program. Right now, we pay about 25% of that. When the CAHOOTS first started, it was basically part of a grant, so we didn't pay anything. They have now asked us to pay 25% of that grant cost, which is roughly about $200,000, $210,000 a year. That's what's going to go forward in this particular budget, this fiscal year 21. After that, in 21, 22, and then again in 22 and 23, those fiscal years, they're going to ask for 50% cost of that. 50% of the cost of CAHOOTS right now is going to be about $500,000. Very significant. I just want that out there for consideration. Obviously, CAHOOTS is a model that is widely recognized as the optional solution. They've done an excellent job for us, but this is a big expense. We've looked at other models, and we'll continue to look at other models also. Also on this chart, you're going to see there's about $75,000 potential cost to replace the CAHOOTS van as we continue down the road in the next year or 2. And the bottom table there is simply to give you an idea of the number of calls per service per day for CAHOOTS and the average number of minutes they spend on each call. I want to talk a little bit about the levy, the police and jail local option levy. That comes up for the voters in the fall of 2022. We operate about 28% of our entire budget, the police department's budget, on the levy. That funds 39 positions, all of the jail, and 8 officer positions, 5 dispatchers, some records staff, and a few others within the police department itself. This levy and the jail have had a huge reduction in the property crime in Springfield. It's been a very valuable resource for us, and I just want you to be aware that this is coming up in a few years. And this is, again, some future considerations out there. I'm not going to get too much detail regarding this particular slide. You can take a look at it. If you have any questions regarding any of these slides, I'll be there during the city's presentation. You can ask those questions. Thank you very much for your time. We're very proud to serve the citizens of Springfield, to serve the city council and budget committee members. We appreciate you taking your time. Thank you very much.